Take back control. Stop letting algorithms decide your news. Get uncensored history and real knowledge to strengthen your mind, body, and spirit. Watch ad-free content now at INeverKnewTV.com Premium. What do you believe is the root cause for the conflicts between many mothers and their adult daughters? Not younger daughters, adult daughters. Because I've been observing this thing, and that relationship seems pretty tricky. A lot of times, they bash men, but for many, unfortunately, the men are gone, so they don't really have much of an interaction with them, but the interaction is with the mother.
Yeah.
And they have some very rough relationships,
For myself, I'm going to say, because I had my stuff with my mom, and then I also, like me and my daughter, we had our own stuff, right? And so from my experience, I am going to say that it's because a lot of mothers, a lot of parents in general, don't feel like they need to apologize to their children. We weren't given the blueprints. We weren't given a book. We literally had to, do the best that we could with our kids, right? And so for myself, as I grew and as I got to know more about myself and as I reflected on how I treated each individual kid, I saw things in ways in that I had treated my daughter I wasn't proud of. And so what I had to do was I had to come to her as adults now, and I had to apologize, and I had to really, we were always close. We were always close, but there were still things that I did and I said that I shouldn't have. And so I had to humble myself, and I had to really have empathy and be realistic about it. And we're so much more closer now. We're so much better now. We've always been close, like I said, but it's just so imperative for mothers to see, like, you know what, like I didn't have all the tools. I didn't grow up in the way in which I was nurtured properly. So, a lot of us have to teach ourselves how to be mothers, and a lot of people don't understand that portion of it. Just because you saw something, just because you heard something, just because you were treated in certain manners when you were growing up, doesn't mean that you still have to do that with your own children. So basically, I had to break generational curses because I was treated bad. My mother was treated bad. It was a cycle.
At what point did you realize, because as a parent, you realize the same thing if you're in tune, right?
Right.
But when did you realize, like, man, I can't, because the default is, I think that's the growth. The default is the behavior, what you see. And I
Yes.
think the game changer is behaving differently than what your default is.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it did take me some time to realize that. And it also took me humbling myself, because a lot of times what happens is, no matter what, people don't like to apologize. And when I was going through that process that I just told you about, like 10, 15 years ago, that was one of the things, whether it was a friend, whether it was a family member, that was one of the things I became accustomed to and that I appreciated about myself, was that if I got it wrong, I'm coming to you and I'm apologizing to your face.
So it sounds like accountability.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
all right. So,
Accountability for
all right.
yourself.
So, I don't think this is a sexist statement when I make this, but it seems like many of the women struggle with accountability, right?
They do.
So I know we talk about accountability and relationships in regards to husband and wife,
Yeah.
but we don't really talk about accountability in regards to parenting child.
Yes.
And it just seems maybe that's the source of the conflict, that if a person struggles with accountability, why would they apologize to their child? Because they did nothing wrong.
Right. Right. And a lot of people have so much pride and so much ego that they really think they're right. But then if you look at the patterns in their connections,
Hold on.